front we can see that the EV version of the XC40 has this closed front grille, so that appears less sporty, less aggressive. However, the overall front is still quite strong, you know, pretty much upright, although it's still their smallest SUV. But really, this is the only EV fact you can see. Everything else looks just the same as with the combustion engine. Then here the headlamps, Thor's Hammer LED signature, and the main headlamp comes with LED as standard. Optional, you can also get the dynamic cornering light for that. And they also integrated a new sensor here for the upgraded assistance systems. Everything else we know from the other XC40s here in the lower part, this here contrasting spoiler and so on. Fog lamps are in the lower area, and the color here for today is called Thunder Grey. The length is at 4 meters 42, 14 foot 4 or 174 inches. And you see in the side profile, just the same as the XC40 we know. Color-wise again, this one Thunder Grey, but we also have a sage green car for you here today, a very interesting color. That one you see also has 20-inch wheels, the bigger ones. The car we have here, 19-inch wheels. So these here would be standard. And we also have a crystal white car for you, so some color variations, of course, even more are available. For example here, the bursting blue, of course the Thomas blue for the XC40. This would be my choice. Typical side profile of the XC40 is that we have the racing line right here, and then a shoulder line is forming right there. And we have the stamped Recharge logo here. This again counts both for plug-in hybrid and for the pure electric version, because there's also a PHEV available for the XC40. But as I said here, the pure electric for today. The rear, very clean design, and here the typical vertical tail lamps we know from the Volvo estates and also from the Volvo SUVs. As for the facts and figures, here the electric version, one electric motor in the front, one electric motor in the rear, still a front wheel bias, and you overall have around 400 horsepower and 4.9 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers an hour. That's of course pretty impressive, even a little bit less than 260 miles an hour. As for the top speed, 180 kilometers an hour, as all the other Volvos are restricted now. That's 112 miles per hour. But for an electric vehicle, that's actually quite fast and quick. As for the battery size, 78 kilowatt hours gross or 75 kilowatt hours net, giving you a range in good conditions about 400 kilometers or 250 miles. And as for recharging, is 11 kilowatt AC or 150 kilowatt DC, so the fast charging also will be quick enough if you have the suitable charging station for that. And here you can see that official badge, so XC40 Recharge P8 AWD. Yeah, that's a little bit complicated, isn't it? Why not just XC40 EV or electric? This is a car key with the matte surface and then the door closing sound. Very solid, like it. Now to the interior. We can see here interesting structures at the inside of the doors, optional Harman Kardon sound system. And this lava orange felt interior is also an option, so you can also go for a more subtle note. That's also no problem. I can also show you here a different interior with another color styling, so you can choose. Then steering wheel with interesting contrast stitches on the inside. The seats here with microfiber on the inside is also standard for the pure electric version. However, on the outsides, still animal parts are being used, same as for the steering wheel. Unlike in the Polestar 2, they do not offer an animal-free interior for the XC40 EV yet. However, Volvo promised to be working on that and will also reveal more of their strategy very soon. Getting inside, the cool thing here about the XC40, also told you that with the launch, with the earlier reviews. By the way, if you want to tune into the plug-in hybrid model or to the petrol model, you can also check these reviews out here on our channel. Then the seating position is already quite upright. That means it's their small SUV, but it already feels quite big and sophisticated when you sit here on the inside. Seats here with electric control, and that means when I put it in the lowest position, with one wheel 86 or 61, still some headroom left. If you want more, leave out the panoramic roof, but here we do have one. There is this slider here now in the middle, so no real button, but you slide it open. Then you can also open it completely. And yeah, that leaves a lot of light in here, so a really nice feature. Steering wheel up and down, in and out. And the interior quality impression is overall pretty good. The cool thing is here in the XC40, they use more matte materials here, also in the middle console, and less of this high gloss piano lacquer. Some left, yes, but at least less, and I think that's actually a good decision. Interior overview. First of all, you can see there's this blind button, so to speak. This would be the start-stop button in the combustion engine. Here, there's a seat sensor, so as soon as you sit down, the car knows you're here, and you can just start driving or put it in the D or in the reverse mode, and that's it. So yeah, why not? But you see there is this platform sharing with the combustion engine. Soft touch here then. Top part, steering wheel in a quite compact size. Right side, change the volume, for example, or to activate the voice control, but you can also just do it with Hey Google and that already gets activated. And on the left side, the cruise control settings. Then 12.3-inch digital instruments, zoom more details to that. Right side, 9-inch screen in a vertical way. And you can see the camera here at the moment, zoom on to that, because this is now the new Android-based system. It's the best there is, like in the Polestar 2. Really look forward for this part. Then in the lower part here, the only thing that is, with real buttons, volume knob here, and also for stopping or starting the music. Further down below, two USB-C chargers right here, and a 12-volt power supply. Also have an inductive charging pad in the lower area. Then this control lever. And the good thing is reverse, drive, reverse, drive. So far with the combustion engine model is you always had to go over the N. You can still do that, but if you just push firmly, then it really works. P then for the parking mode, adaptive cup holders, and then an armrest right there, the red cover with reasonable space below. Instruments in the parking mode cleaned up like this, and you see the battery status. When you put in a gear, then you have this map view all over the place, left side speed, and once again the battery status in the lower right down there, but they do not show us the kilometer or miles left, and this was an intentional decision, and I think it's a wrong decision, because I want to see how many kilometers or miles I have left. Don't you want to do that as well? We have to ask Google for that, but here in the instruments, you cannot show this. You can also not switch like Tesla is offering. And on the left side, we will see at least the consumption figure. A head-up display, by the way, here is not available. Now the infotainment system, Android-based, and of course, Google just does it the best. So many manufacturers invest millions of money in their own infotainment system and fail. And here, Volvo and Polestar, they just get it from Google. And it's the best here. Super responsive as for the map. And we know we have the best real-time traffic information as for that. Then you connect your phone via Bluetooth. But the cool thing is you can also have your playlist in there. So unlike with the Teslas, I do not miss the Apple CarPlay here because I can pick my playlist right here. And that's, of course, really, really cool. So I'm absolutely fine with that. Why not? Apple CarPlay, however, will come at a later stage if you want it still. Then, here, how can I help? That's the voice input. You can activate it here. Or you can also then say, hey Google, set temperature to 22 degrees.
All right, changing the temperature to 22 degrees.
And look at that, how fast this is going. It's like real-time voice input. Or, hey Google, drive me to Berlin.
Berlin is 3 hours and 6 minutes from your location by car in light traffic.
So here we go, GPS starts. There we go. And then also the charging is calculated. And see here at the moment, yeah, this will not work, says at the moment. Yeah, I think the calculation is at the moment done by, standing still and having the heating on. So we'll see about the realistic range then when we drive that later. At the moment here, all about the infotainment system. So again, best ratings as for the infotainment system. And you can even make complicated calculations. Let's say, hey Google, 17 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers in kilowatt hours per 100 miles.
17 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is 27.359 kilowatt hours per
100 miles. That was missing. But see, I'll automatically calculate 17 kilowatt hours in 100 kilometers is 27 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. So I don't even have to do it in my head. And by the way, here, listen to the sound. Harman Kardon sound system. Whoa, yeah. That's cool. Here, surround, all on surround, mid settings, that's fine. Awesome sound. And now to the rear compartment, easy entry. And you have an upright seating position here with 1.86 or 6.1. Yeah, I can put a hand over my head. Without the panoramic roof, it would be a little bit more. Interior materials at the inside of the doors, also quite good. So high build quality, legroom. There's also some left, so very good usage of space and really comfortably also for the rear seats for tall adults. And you can really drive that one with 5 tall adults because although there's a middle tunnel here, they also put some of the batteries in there. You can still sit here also with 5 tall adults. It's soft here on the middle part as well. The outside parts with the microfiber again would be even more comfortable, of course. Isofix at the outside parts each. USB-C charger in the middle part, right there. And then we have the armrest with adaptive cup holders. There is a frunk, yes, a front trunk. You have to release it from the inside like you would release the front hood with a combustion engine. Then here, another opening and is a cover, and then you have to put this one up. And there's then more space, for example, in here for a charging cable bag. Electric hatch, and the trunk is at 413 liters. It's the same capacity than with the combustion engine, so no compromise as for that. Cabin trolley here fits also in a vertical way, no problem. Then we have an even loading sill. I really like that. And if you want to use some of the space below that, you can also do it like this. And then you can, have some more storage right there. So it's actually quite nice. You can also lift up this whole thing. And you can also split the trunk by this a little bit. So actually quite flexible. Then folding the seats, you see, it's not possible from here, but 12-volt power supply at least we have. So folding the seats, we have to go around. First of all, the standard measurements. Here, the normal length is 37 inches or about 90 centimeters. And the width here, it's almost a meter or a good meter and 39 inches. And the height here to the cover is 18 inches or just over 40 centimeters. A little bit more overall, of course. For folding the seats then, going around like this. This is then a 2/3, 1/3 split, but there's also a ski hatch available like this. And if you are, with tall drivers then, let's see, total length of the trunk. Oh, we can go even a little bit longer like this. And then we're at 170 centimeters or 1.70 meters or 76 inches. First of all, before we come to the normal driving lounge, It's performance time. We're in Germany, German Autobahn, the new Volvo XC40 EV, and let's accelerate it out. You've just seen the 0 to 100, now 32, let's see. Maximum speed 180 kilometers an hour, 112 miles per hour, and that's super quick, definitely. So before you could see in a close-up also the the instruments where we did 0 to also the top speed, not only 0 to 100. Really impressive, great acceleration, and this came so flawless. 184, 185 maximum speed. Here's also unlimited speed area on this German motorway, and I mean, we're driving really, really fast, and the noise insulation is still somewhat reasonable, somewhat good. And now let's reset the consumption meter and tell you what's the economy when we drive full speed. And that is at 40, see if it changes somewhat. Yeah, somewhat 40 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers, and that means now about 50. Yeah, so yeah, it definitely, cuts the range then more than in half. So at that high speed, you could probably drive then for 150 kilometers or something. Maybe like 80, 90 miles, something like that. So of course not laid out to do that. The combustion engines also consume a lot more fuel when they drive high speed, but of course here for the electric vehicles, definitely killing the range. But what about a more realistic speed at motorway, as for noise insulation and as for the fuel consumption, or in this case the energy consumption? Sometimes still the petrol head comes through. So, and now we go to 130 kilometers an hour and set the cruise control, 130, and reset the trip meter, and let's see how that one plays out. Pilot assist, right click here, left thumb, and the thing is, just with the pilot assist, when it goes a little bit bent, it doesn't have any problem. However, when it goes all the way straight, it does not have a capacitive function here for the steering wheel, so you get this false positives for the lane keeping assist, and wants to move the steering wheel, that can be quite annoying at times. So we'll let it run here for 130 kilometers an hour. A little bit up and down here, but that's no problem to the electric vehicles, because when you go down here, you get some more, either recuperation when you really go downhill in a very, very fast way, or you can use this rolling or coasting effect and you don't consume much more. So here we'll end up with some values, 30 something kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers. So this means then you can drive some 200 kilometers plus, or some 120, 150 miles plus at the normal motorway speed here, at least. The best figures as for the energy consumption will be scored when we have mixed traffic, also a lot of city traffic and countryside. I mean, the battery is already heated. It is heated already. So the maximum range figures soon, more to that. But overall, already a good motorway car. Noise insulation here at normal motorway speeds is also pretty nice. Relaxed feeling, upright sitting position, and the consumption here on the motorway is somehow expected for an electric vehicle, but here we do see a difference to the Teslas. In comparison to all the other electric vehicles, the Teslas are most efficient still on the motorway at higher speeds. So most electric vehicles show really much more higher energy consumption on the motorway, whereas Teslas also do that somewhat, but not that much, not that extreme more consumption when we are at higher motorway speeds. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge AWD. Well, the XC40 EV, staying with that, and in city traffic, it's really nice to move it around. The steering wheel is pretty direct, really precise as well. low center of gravity, have the battery pack in the lower bottom, and I can already say right now that it just feels more agile to drive than any of the combustion engine models. Plus it has the faster acceleration with these 4.9 seconds to 1 kilometers or 4.7 seconds to 60 miles an hour. So really quick, especially from the get-go. I'll soon also show that to you. And here in the city traffic, we've been cruising around just a little bit, and yeah, the energy consumption figures somewhat around the 20 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So like somewhat 30 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And that means we are somewhat in the 200 miles plus something areas and between these 300 and 400 kilometers so far, as we know, for the city consumption and so on. And the overall feeling of this car is on the one hand quite normal because it feels somehow like the other XC40 models. But then again, a little bit more sophisticated with this new infotainment system. I really have the best Google Maps guidance. I also have this updated digital instruments. So this is really a step forward if you compare it to the combustion engine models. So this is just more intuitive, just easier to use. The one pedal driving is standard. You can theoretically also turn that off in the infotainment system. I would not necessarily recommend that. They did not go for any charging, for any shifting pedals here to change the recuperation or so. So they want that standard one pedal driving feeling for you, or to turn it off. And usually with the electric vehicles, you get used to that. You just lift your foot off the throttle and then the car is decelerating. What they also did here is a technology we haven't seen so far, so-called brake blending. And that means even if the battery is fully charged and you lift the throttle, you still feel as you would have recuperation, but in this case then it's done by the brakes. You might remember from our Tesla reviews or also other electric vehicles, when you are fully charged and you lift your foot off the throttle, the car is just rolling, coasting, sailing, but not braking. And you have to brake it yourself. And sometimes if you're not used to that and you don't know, in the first moment, oh, wait a minute, battery is full, at the moment it's not recuperation, have to hit the brakes. Here they wanted always to have the same feeling for the customer and therefore do this brake blending technology like this, that you have a seamless transition and you always have the very, very same feeling. And very interesting, and yeah, why not? Because even me, sometimes you forget and then you were irritated or something. However, more irritating is really I only see the battery status in percentage and I do not see the remaining range, and that is really irritating to me. When I drive the electric vehicles, I really want to see the remaining range. I just want to have that, So here now in the city traffic, I have sneaked myself forward, and this could be a very good moment when the traffic light jumps to green and I just do a 0 to 50 and sneak myself, and that's it. Yeah. There's everyone. So yeah, haven't had it that sporty in the Volvo for a long time. Really super quick acceleration. The all-wheel drive has no mechanical link, of course. One electric motor in the front, one in the rear. Important information, there will be a different version later with just one electric motor in the front, which is then a cheaper entry version, also with a lower horsepower spec then, of course. And there will also be lower battery spec versions to save some money. So if you watch this video here at the later stage, maybe it's already available. So this one then being the all-wheel drive model, the P8. Not sure if they will give them other names. Here, this video recording when we are actually right now filming this here at the video launch. So, but I mean, this all-wheel drive, great acceleration, and it also felt evenly distributed. So usually you have a little bit of a front wheel bias, but when you really hit it, then both motors really give you all the maximum boost they have. And once again, it is so cool to move it around here in the city. It just feels very, very agile. It's a lot of fun to drive it. So really the most fun I had, recently with driving a Volvo, and even more fun than in a normal XC40. Of course, being the electric vehicle, we have even more silence in here. and the noise insulation is really good. We'll also soon test it when we drive a little bit faster, but here in the city you hear nothing, super silent. We have that SUV upright seating position as well. And also due to the microfiber seating surface, it adapts a little bit better to the body than if you would have the pure animal skin surface, of course. So at this moment, yeah, to me, of course, the seats should be animal free, and we expected, especially from the electric vehicles, which all have the more sustainable approach. The Polestar 2 does totally deliver that. And we could buy the Polestar 2 for the very same price as we're buying this one. Also shares the same technology and so on and so on. The question is then rather really sedan versus SUV. The Polestar 2 is a little bit more consistent than in the approach, but here you have the upright seating position and the huge hatch where you can load things better in and out and so on. And here in the city, you just get along a little bit better. You know, it's not a huge vehicle. This is something where everyone can be happy with in a way, because it's not too long on the exterior. You can still find your parking spots, but you already have a lot of space on the interior. We've seen that earlier. So it's a very, very good compromise actually. And I wonder why manufacturers came rather late with these approaches. Tesla Model Y, of course, is one of the main competitors here of that Volvo XC40 EV, which is, again, the more suitable name, I think. You can see it maybe here also when I have the route guidance. I have it on both screens. I rather than look at the central screen here in front of the instruments, because that's just easier to read. And here now, lifting the throttle, recuperation, estimation, yeah, almost a good estimation. So you have to get used to how big the recuperation is here with this vehicle. And yeah, that's the difference here when driving a city. Of course, we know the energy has to come from somewhere, but we're in the city now. In front of us, then an old Volvo where we really see the black smoke coming out, burning too much oil. And then we have the all-electric here, and at least a locally emission-free. Of course, in the long run, we should produce that energy also in the very best way that we know we only do good in this respect. But that's so far a really tough thing to do, definitely. Here now again, you can practice your recuperation skills. And when you just want to roll, see, yeah, it's going further. Just a little bit on the throttle, so you stay a little bit on the throttle, that you just coast and roll further. If I compare other electric vehicles I've driven, I have to say, this one here does not explicitly say, hello, I'm electric. Like when we drive a Tesla, they really deliver some kind of different driving feeling. Here, when you step from the combustion engine to the electric vehicle, you could say, yeah, I'm still somewhat at home. This feels like my XC40 I've been driving before. Yet at the same time, it feels somehow more powerful, sophisticated, more agile. So from a customer's or driver's perspective, everything speaks for the electric version driving wise. There's just an issue with your infrastructure and the range. If you are driving like really long mileage every single day, this might not be something for you. Or if in your country, in your region, next to where you live, wherever, the charging infrastructure is really, really bad, then it doesn't make sense. For all others, I think the electric version is, making more and more sense, definitely. So, and now we'll head on to the motorway to show you also a little bit higher speed. This is, of course, even more interesting right now. City traffic is something where this car really, really feels at home, and it was so far a very pleasant drive. So although we are really quick, it is more relaxing at the very, very same time. But you can really choose that, can be super quick or can be more relaxing. And the energy consumption also went down meanwhile. At the moment we are really, really low, because obviously we are starting a little bit higher, then we're rolling a little bit more downhill, and this can really, really affect things. Now at almost 10 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, yeah, that would be almost double the range. But of course, at the end of the review, we'll have a more realistic average than for you. And it always depends on temperature. At the moment, 15 degrees Celsius outside. That's actually quite good for the battery. Not so cold as we had with our recent EV reviews. Now we have the all-wheel drive. The traffic light is about to jump to green, and I'll accelerate it out in the corner, see how the agility plays out there, and also what about the traction and so on. Yeah, a little bit of spin, but really good. See here, the steering wheel was very calm, and now the other cars are starting to accelerate, and we are already gone. This is really like a performance vehicle. Pretty cool. So now we can also head to a tunnel. You can even see more of how the car looks like at night. Let's see about that. Woo! There's no special ambient lighting here. We see the map. Map jumps to the night mode. That's done automatically. And we can also set the cruise control here on the left side. Some of the assistance systems are standard. Some others, like the pilot assist, when I click to the right side here, they are optional. Pilot assist then is also steering the car for me, keeping it in a lane. And so far here, really centralized, also pretty calm. So at the moment I am not steering, and you see there is a band, like a long band, but I don't really feel that. So far, really calm. Sometimes we have that these systems are too nervous or so. Sometimes they are not active enough, so you always have to find the sweet spot in between to have the perfect setup. So far, they have also upgraded it. They added also new sensors, of course, for keeping the distance in, to the cars in front of us. So far, pretty happy with that. This tunnel road here will also make a right turn soon. We can also see it on the map, and we'll see how the how the lane keeping assist will play out there. Maybe you've already seen something of the blind spot monitor. Now the next car is approaching. So let's see. There it is. There's this red stripe. And when I hit the turning indicator, then it also blinks. So a more active warning. And it's really good to have that because the B pillar is quite blocking in that view. Other than that, to the front, to the rear, to the sides, it's perfect, just like across to the B pillar for the blind spot. This is a problem, but this should be solved then by the blind spot monitor. So you should definitely get a blind spot monitor with any car, In some cars they're already standard nowadays, depending on the markets also. So some markets make it with this trim level, I choose this trim level and then offer the customers different things. So we have to see about that later on. I really would like to see the remaining range. Yeah, that's one of the main criticism points, and I still can understand why they didn't show that to us. So, but we can ask Google. Maybe we can ask Google anything, Hey Google, what's the remaining range?
You can drive for about 260 kilometers with the remaining charge.
So 260 kilometers left at the battery status of 88%, it says. Yeah, I mean that comes close to my estimations, although our energy consumption at the moment is surprisingly low. Again, same tech being used in the Polestar 2 and also the very same battery. Actually, the usable battery is a little bit higher, so the net capacity than in the Polestar 2, I realized. Just the gross battery size is actually the same. So, I mean, this one stands a little bit more against the wind. As for the CW value, or that might be the thing why they say like, we want to use a little bit more of that battery. And here again, here the lane keeping assist gets a little bit more nervous. We've set the cruise control to 80 kilometers an hour. We can also change the distance to the car in front of us. So making, for example, minimum, then we feel the car is accelerating more, and we're getting sucked into the wind shadow of the other vehicle. Whoa, now really against the sun. To turn the visor down here. Yeah, now our eyes are dark with them. Really cool views here also to the Hamburg harbor, one of the biggest harbors in Europe. And now is this motorway traffic. Again, active cruise control. And once again, quite calm. So I didn't realize that we're driving faster now than inside city. Of course, we'll drive a little bit faster very soon as well. But so far also on the motorway, and it's really loud here with the tire noise and so on. Great noise insulation, really happy with that. So the XC40 is not a new vehicle, but what they have done here, you know, with the introduction of the electric one, it's actually pretty cool. So I'm really happy with that. It feels newer than before, definitely. So I wonder if they also put a facelift then to the combustion engine models as for that. So now we're going a little bit fast and also in the corner. And these are also situations then here when we're in fast cornering where you change the lanes, you always feel that you have a lower center of gravity. It's really, really nice. It just feels more connected to the road. The suspension here, by the way, is set on a rather sporty note. You feel that here when you're doing the agile driving. Is it not comfortable enough? So earlier I had a situation where I was driving over cobblestones, and this was kind of rough, but it's not an area where I would say it's bad or something, so I'm actually fine with it. We do have the 19-inch wheels here, so you should also stick with that, because you can go for the optional, even cooler looking 20-inch wheels. We had that sage green car earlier, which had, speed camera, best greetings from our whole Autogefühl team. Thank you for the photo. Not today. So stick with the 19-inch wheels. The 20-inch wheels look always cooler, but they will definitely give you less comfort. And we've had it a couple of times with different vehicles that the bigger wheels really reduce the comfort. So just pay attention to that. And I can just say the longer I drive this vehicle, it's really a perfect drive. I can just say that, And from the segment, it's right in there where really a lot of people, a lot of car customers can use this vehicle. I'm pretty certain that on this EV market, this one will be very successful. There is the price, of course, 60k euros entry price in Germany, for example. It will be a little bit less than soon. 10,000 euros here for the extra trims, sound system. A heat pump is 600 euros extra, for example. The heat pump that is reducing the range losses in winter times. You should get it, definitely. And some other equipment we have here, of course. Yeah, it's definitely not a cheap vehicle at all. So we're also looking forward to more affordable EV SUVs. But in that premium segment, the Mercedes EQA, for example, would also be a competitor. We also have already some content to that. Check the video description to see competitor reviews of this vehicle here, and also the Polestar 2, which is sharing the same tech. But overall, I think with the package they're offering here, they are really very competitive, and I can just say I'm really enjoying the drive. And after our drive now, at the moment, although we had some substantial acceleration in here, consumption meter says 15 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, and yeah, that's more like 25 kilowatt hours on 100 miles, something like that. Is that true? Shall we ask? Maybe we ask Google. Hey Google, 15 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers in kilowatt hours per 100 miles.
15 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is 24.14 kilowatt hours per.
Okay, so 24 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. That's of course at this moment here a great result. So this would rather be something 400 kilometers plus in range or 250 miles plus in range. So that's actually quite good. It always depends on the situation, on the topography, going up and down. But I think if we can really say like the worst is 300 kilometers and the best is like 450 kilometers and the worst is like 190 miles and the best is 250 miles plus, then you're always, somehow safe in your overall estimation. So now we're heading out to some countryside roads, still quite silent in here, and just I think one of the most flawless driving experiences this year definitely so far. And at the end of this drive here, 17 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, that's 27 kilowatt hours on 100 miles, with city traffic, acceleration, motorway, countryside, a good mix. And this would indeed be 440 kilometers of range or 270 miles of range. This is a good result, and we had the very same result with the Polestar 2. And now to our conclusion for today with the Volvo XC40 here in the pure electric version. First of all, from the exterior you still get the normal XC40 look, and people so far liked it, so they will also do now. Just with the difference with the closed front grille, everything else the same. It does not scream out, I'm EV. It just says, I'm this Volvo SUV. From the interior we see a good build quality. We also see nice materials, not entirely animal free yet, but Volvo is working on that, at least also for other models and for future concepts. They definitely know what they are doing in this respect. Not yet 100% in this vehicle, but it's coming up. Greater things, definitely with the infotainment system, Google or Android based, that's the way to go. So many other manufacturers invest so much money in their own infotainment system, and they are still so much worse than what we see here. This is the perfect infotainment system, just an easy and good solution. Driving wise, even better, even more fun than with the combustion engine. It is already a quite, nice drive in the combustion engine here with the XC40, but here with a lower center of gravity, even sportier, it is heavier but feels lighter somewhat. That's the thing here with the electric vehicles. And of course, great boost, great acceleration boost. It's really a lot of fun to drive. Actually the most fun we've had in a Volvo SUV. So just driving wise, for a customer, it should be the electric version. Pricing wise, when you end up with about 60,000 euros with some trim, equipment, assistance systems, upgrade and so on, this car here 70,000 euros. That's not cheap at all, of course not. It's a premium SUV segment. However, if you think about when you put a high-spec petrol car for the XC40, you wouldn't pay less. And then you think about governmental subsidies or some taxation benefits and so on and so on. And then price won't be, that much of a difference to the normal combustion engine of this vehicle here. So, range-wise, it's actually comparable to a Polestar 2, for example. So you also get a long ride there, some 400 kilometers, 250 miles. That's of course, not as much as we know from a new Tesla Model 3, for example, but still enough here if we take a look at the competition. So overall, I think one of the best offerings as for the EV market right now. Looking forward to your feedback. What do you think here? The XC40 EV, I think it's an easier name than like Recharge, P8 AWD. Who uses that? They even put on their homepage saying like, okay, that's the pure electric, because they say Recharge both for the plug-in hybrids and for the pure EVs. So I hope you enjoyed our episode here for today. We did in filming it just for you. See you next time.